There's good in everything. I went from this period in my life to understanding again. And then I started figuring out the comedy. I started figuring out what was funny. I started figuring out where funny came from. Funny to me came from two questions. What is stupid about this and why? What is stupid about this? That was everywhere. What is stupid about this is such a basic comedic question. It brings humor from everything. You want to be funny for your friends? Just ask that question. Apply it to everything you see. What is stupid about this? I was driving down the highway right out here the other day. There's a sign out there on the interstate that says, "Are you an adult and can't read? Dial 1-800." I'm at the bank. Right over here the other day, at the bank, at the drive-up window. Not at the bank, but and not really at the drive-up window. I was at the sucker tube thing, that goes, you know what I'm talking about? And I get there, and I have the sucker tube, and I send the thing here, and I'm waiting while she's doing something in the bank. And I see on the machine that there's the instructions for using the tube, and right next to the instructions are the instructions in Braille. Like they're expecting some blind guy to be driving his car up. Burger King, right down here, Burger King has a sign in the drive-up window that says, "Picture menus available upon request." I asked the lady, I said, "Hey, who are the picture menus for?" She says, "Those are for people who can't read." I said, "Well, how do they know that you have them?" And she looked at me like I was an idiot and said, "A sign." I got a new Visa card the other day. I walk in with my Visa card and I give it to the lady. She runs it, and as I'm looking over it, she says, "By the way, you haven't signed your new card." I said, "Oh, sorry." So she lays it down. I sign my receipt. I sign the card. She picks them up. What is stupid about this? Why is the other one. You ask why, and you're going to get something funny. Now, I got to tell you, at this point, I don't do dirty humor, you know what I'm saying? But that ain't that I don't think of things sometimes that I can't use. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I'll think, that's right. But no, I could never do that. And there are some things that, in a show I would certainly never do. But here's a great example of why. Polly and I read together every night before we go to bed. And one night we're reading in Proverbs. And it says in Proverbs that King Solomon had 700 wives. 700 wives. That's what Polly said. Why? I heard you. Why? That's exactly what Polly said. So why would anybody have 700 wives? And before I could think, I said maybe he was hoping he'd go home and find one of them in a good mood. And she told me, she said, don't you ever do that in a show. So I don't. But just goofing around like this, I feel like I can. I've learned a lot of lessons. Did you know, for instance, that a mother can spank in the car, whereas a dad cannot? Did you know that dads are greater drivers than mothers are? Do you know that dads can drive well and put up with that noise that mothers make? You know what I'm talking about? How many times, guys, you've been driving down the road and you're fine, you're relaxed, you're concentrating, you're okay, and out of nowhere, the woman sitting next to you has that sharp intake of breath that changes everything? You know what I'm talking about? You're fine, you're, whoa! What? And she said, nothing, I just thought, I saw, but I just thought. Nothing. You know what I'm talking about? There's in the ditch, out of the ditch. What? Nothing. It's nothing. We're fine. I thought. The car put on its brake lights. And see, women don't have this distance thing down. Because women are like, hey, the car put on its, and the guy's like, hey, the car's 100 yards away up there. But the woman is on the hood, baby. It's right there. And then think about this, and I know this is prejudice toward ladies, but this is the only point of view I have. And I know, after being a kid, I know, and watching my parents for years, I know that dads cannot spank in the car. Now, see, here's a good thing, because dads are great drivers. I mean, you got to be a great driver to be able to go New York, LA, back to New York, never go to the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? I mean, dads can do this long distance thing. Dads won't ever ask for directions, but that's an inherent thing in men, not to ask for directions. You know what I'm saying? I mean, from the very moment of conception, men are genetically prepared never to ask for directions. I mean, that's why it's like one egg that a woman has in 10 million sperm, and only one of them gets there. They don't ask for directions. I mean, from the moment of conception. But then when they get to driving and get in the car and dealing with kids in the car, dads can't handle it. I mean, they can't handle it because dads are forward focused. They can only do one thing at a time. I remember my dad driving and my sister and I cutting up in the back seat. It would freak my dad out. You know, he'd be trying to hit us back there and driving, and he just couldn't deal with it. But mothers are so cool because mothers have a radar in the back of their head. They know where you are at all times. My mom could be reading a paperback book. We stick our head over that back seat. Pow! Ooh, right there. I mean, the accuracy was amazing. Just amazing. But see, when you get home, dads become the best spankers. And moms are the ones who are lagging in that department. Because when you're home, a dad, forward focused, one thing, dads can just do something and it's over with and it's done. And nobody, it's like, pow, 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 get out of here and don't ever do that again. And it's over with. But to a mother, a spanking is a very emotional thing. And a mother's got to build up to it. I know my mom, it didn't matter if she had a switch or a paddle. Or a fly swatter. Or a belt. She would whip you with every word she said. I told you don't ever do this again. And it never even hurt me because I'm too busy thinking it's her arm muscle attached to her jaw muscle somewhere. That's why you know what a kid's talking about when he says, I'd rather have a spanking from my dad than a talking to from my mom. That's what he means.